President Joe Biden should stop invoking his late son Beau Biden as a way of deflecting criticism of his handling of the withdrawal from Afghanistan, a former speechwriter for George W. Bush wrote, "Mr. Biden is not a Gold Star father and should stop playing one on TV," William McGurn wrote last week in an op-ed for The Wall Street Journal. McGurn wrote that Beau Biden was deployed to Iraq and worked as a military lawyer. Beau died of brain cancer that the president believes was caused by exposure to toxic chemicals at burn pits in Iraq. Biden's invoking of his late son to justify his decision to remove soldiers from Afghanistan was out of place because Beau Biden did not die in combat and was never deployed to the country, according to McGurn. Meantime, the president refuses to acknowledge any hint of failure, much less his own culpability, McGurn wrote in the Journal. He has variously denied making any mistakes, claimed he anticipated the entire mess, and wherever possible blamed Donald Trump. He also dodges the hard question by constantly insisting the issue in contention is his decision to leave rather than the deadly hash he's made of it, and he bizarrely keeps invoking his son, the late Marge. Beau Biden, a Delaware Army National Guard lawyer who served honorably in Baghdad and whose early death from brain cancer was tragic but has nothing to do with Afghanistan, much less the 11 Marines, Navy corpsman and Army soldier killed in Thursday's suicide bombing. Mr. Biden is not a Gold Star father and should stop playing one on TV. McGurn's criticism of Biden comes as the New York Times was blasted by Twitter users for a headline which read, "Biden, still grieving his son, finds that not everyone wants to hear about it." In response to the online backlash, the Times ended up changing the headline to, "In invoking Beau, Biden broaches a loss that's guided his presidency." The Times story quotes the father of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, 20, a Marine who was one of 13 killed in a suicide bombing last week in Kabul. Schmitz's father, Mark, told the Times that he spoke to Biden at Dover Air Force Base to observe the dignified transfer of the remains. According to Mark Schmitz, Biden turned the conversation to Beau. Schmitz told the Times that the president's reference to his late son was too much to bear. "I respect anybody that lost somebody, but it wasn't an appropriate time," Schmitz said. Schmitz said that he was so alienated by Biden that when asked by the Times if he would be open to receiving a phone call from the president, he declined. Last week, Schmitz and another Gold Star father, Darren Hoover, blasted Biden for repeatedly checking his watch at a ceremony marking the return of the 13 U.S. service members killed. Both claimed the commander-in-chief did not just check his watch once, but after every casket was removed from the plane. Hoover also told Sean Hannity of Fox News of how he refused to meet with the president at the event. Schmitz said his own meeting didn't go well, and Biden spent more time talking about his own son Beau than Jared Schmitz. Schmitz said Biden spoke of losing his son Beau Biden, an Iraq veteran, to cancer 6 years ago. But Schmitz said that he wanted to talk about Jared instead and that he and his wife took out a photo of their son to show the president. "I said, don't you ever forget that name. Don't you ever forget that face. Don't you ever forget the names of the other 12, Schmitz told the Post. And take some time to learn their stories. But according to Schmitz, the president didn't like that and bristled, replying, "I do know their stories." Both fathers said they were particularly upset when Biden repeatedly checked his watch during Sunday's ceremony, as their sons' bodies arrived back in the U.S. "The checking of his watch, that didn't happen just once," said Hoover. "That happened on every single one that came out of that airplane. It happened on every single one of them. They would release the salute, and he would look down at his watch on every last one, all 13, he looked down at his watch. As a father, you know, seeing that and the disrespect." Schmitz added, "I leaned into my son's mother's ear and I said, I swear to God, if he checks his watch one more time, and that was probably only 4 times in. I couldn't look at him anymore after that. Considering especially the time and why we were there, I found it to be the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen." The president made the unannounced trip to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware on Sunday morning as the caskets of the 13 service members killed in the attack were brought back to the United States. He stood in silence, his right hand to his chest, as a succession of flag-draped transfer coffins were carried past him from a C-17 Globemaster plane. But during the ceremony, Biden appears to jerk his left arm up and look down at his watch. The 13 killed on August 26 were Navy Corpsman Max Soviak, Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Naus, and Marines Hunter Lopez, Riley McCollum, David Lee Espinoza, Kareem Nikui, Jared Schmitz, Dagan Page, Taylor Hoover, Humberto Sanchez, Yohani Rosario, Dylan Merriler and Nicole G. Their remains arrived at Dover Air Force Base last week for a dignified transfer, the solemn moment when fallen troops returned to American soil. Hoover, from Utah, said their family decided to turn down the chance to meet Biden. "We said absolutely not," he told Hannity. "We didn't want to deal with him, we didn't want him anywhere near us. We as a family decided that was the way it was going to be." Both fathers paid tribute to their sons, with Hoover, whose son was due home on September 15, to retire and marry his fiancée Nicole, describing them all as heroes. "Every one of them is a hero. There's no doubt," he said. "Every last one of them."